Is the BLU G91 Pro a good phone to buy in 2021? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. What's going on, guys? Khalifa's Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, we're gonna be taking a look at the BLU G91 Pro and going over why it may or may not be a good phone to buy in 2021. Now, before we go any further, I do wanna remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So this phone has a 6.7-inch LCD display with a resolution of 1080p, a PPI of 395, and an aspect ratio of 20:9. We got a hole punch up here for the front-facing camera, and this camera looks real nice and clean. I personally like this look a lot better than some of the water drop notch cameras. It looks a lot more modern and just overall better. I have the brightness at 100% right now, and I would say it looks really good. The bezels are also really thin, which adds to the look of the phone, so that's a good thing. And another thing I like about this phone's display is the size. At 6.7 inches, it's definitely a little bit bigger than the average phone. So this is gonna be great for content consumption. If you're streaming videos, playing a game, viewing photos, even reading, everything's gonna look better on a larger display. And in addition to that, this is one of the few BLU phones, if not the only one, that has a 1080p display. And even for lots of other mid-range phones in this price range, they don't all have this resolution. So it's good that this phone does. Now you're not only getting a larger display, but you're also getting a higher quality one as well. So overall, if you're gonna be doing any type of content consumption, this phone is gonna be great for that. For storage, this phone has 128 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion. Not unexpected for a BLU phone, considering that these phones typically have a lot of storage. This is going to be plenty for your everyday activities, and if you're more of a power user, if you have a ton of different apps, it's going to be good for that too. You're probably going to be able to keep most things on the phone itself without needing to get a microSD card at all. And even if you do, it's still an option. Now, one other unique thing about this phone, since it is only a mid-range phone, is that it actually does have wireless charging. It supports 10-watt wireless charging, which isn't the strongest, but at the same time, most phones that aren't flagship phones don't have wireless charging at all. So for once, we do get a mid-range phone with wireless charging, and I think that's really cool. For security options, we got a fingerprint scanner right here on the back, and this phone also has Face Unlock. Let's go ahead and give the fingerprint scanner a try and see how well it works. There we go, one more time. And there we go. As you can see, it's real fast and responsive, no issues here. So taking a look at the rear camera setup, we got a 48 megapixel rear camera, a 5 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera for portrait mode, and a 2 megapixel macro camera. So you're gonna have pretty much every camera feature available in smartphones. And the pictures themselves are really high quality too. Now this is a photo taken with the rear camera. As you can see, the quality is really good. I don't have any complaints here. The colors look really nice, the lighting was handled well, and the sharpness is really good. This photo was taken with the ultra-wide camera. Now typically with an ultra-wide camera, especially an ultra-wide camera of a mid-range phone, there tends to be a little bit of distortion and it's usually pretty noticeable. But with this phone, you don't see a whole lot of distortion. For the most part, it looks just as good as the photo taken with the regular camera, so that's pretty impressive. This photo was taken with portrait mode. Now I think this is overall the most impressive photo I took with this phone. The background is blurred appropriately and it's blended in a way that doesn't look fake and cheap. And overall the photo looks so high quality and professional. So if you are planning on taking a lot of photos like this phone's gonna be great for that. So overall, I am really impressed by this phone's camera setup. It's really on par with phones like the Samsung Galaxy A52 and the Motorola Moto G stylus. All the phones at the upper end of the mid-range, this one can definitely compete with camera-wise. And to make things even better, this phone can shoot 4K videos in the rear camera and 1080p in the front. So although you don't get 4K in the front-facing camera, you do get it in the rear. So if you do want to shoot higher resolution videos, you can do that with this phone too. Internally, this phone's getting 6 gigabytes of RAM with the MediaTek Helio G90 processor. Now I ran a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on this phone and we got a single core score of 490 and a multi-core score of 1614. So this is really not bad at all. As far as normal activities go, like sending text messages, making calls, browsing the web, using social media, this phone's gonna be real fast with that stuff. And then for for higher end activities like high performance gaming and video editing, you'll be able to do all that on this phone. It might not run quite as well as a flagship phone or something like that, but at the same time, it's still gonna be doable, and there's not gonna be a whole lot this phone can't do. In addition to a fast processor, this phone also has a 5000 milliamp hour battery that supports 30-watt fast charging, and that's actually higher fast charging than what's supported by some flagship phones, so that's really impressive. If you need to charge up your phone fast and you have a really powerful fast charger, this is definitely going to come in handy. And with the size of this battery, you're probably not going to have to charge up your phone during the day unless you're using it really heavily or something, because a 5000 milliamp hour battery is on the upper end of what you can get in a smartphone. And in addition to just lasting throughout the day, this phone is also going to have a lot of longevity down the road because all batteries degrade over time. But with the larger batteries like this one, you're not going to notice it nearly as quickly, so you'll be able to keep the phone longer without having to replace it. This phone has Android 11, which is not very surprising, but unfortunately, with all the cool features it has, it doesn't have NFC. That's pretty disappointing to me because NFC is something that I think every phone should have. In case you don't know what it is, NFC is the technology behind contactless mobile payment services like Google Pay and Samsung Pay, all that. And without NFC, you can't use that feature. And these features are becoming more and more part of everyone's daily lives, so I feel like every phone out there should have it, but unfortunately we're not there yet. So in conclusion, is the BLU G91 Pro a good phone to buy in 2021? I think this phone is absolutely worth it. Despite some minor inconveniences like not having NFC, this phone has so many advantages over other phones in its price range. It has a larger than average display and a higher resolution than any Blue phone I've ever seen. It has cool features like wireless charging, a great camera setup, a large battery, and a really powerful processor. The only thing I don't like about this phone is that it doesn't have NFC. And if you're comparing it to something like a flagship phone, it's of course not going to be at that level, and it doesn't feel very premium either. Or if you want a 5G phone, then unfortunately this phone is not 5G. But other than that, this phone has so many strengths that I definitely think if you're looking for an all-around, reliable, and powerful phone with a good camera setup and a lot of nice features, then the BLU G91 Pro will definitely be a good phone for you to buy in 2021. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and as always, I will see you in the next video.